All right, Joshua 23, let's call this one I'm About to Go, because these last two chapters in the book of Joshua are going to describe the way in which, much like Moses, Joshua is going to get the people of Israel prepared for the time when he is about to go see God, when he's about to pass. And much like the end of Deuteronomy, Joshua is going to assemble the people together. He, however, is going to begin talking about all the things that they have seen. He's going to say, you have seen with your own eyes the things that God has done on your behalf. From that, he is going to tell them that therefore, they need to be very careful, to be diligent. He's not going to use that term diligent, but they need to be careful not to turn either to the right or to the left. A similar warning to what Moses warned them about many times throughout Deuteronomy, saying, do not deviate either to the right or to the left from the counsel that God is giving you through this law. And he's going to say, for if you do, it's going to be much like the blessing and the curse that we saw at Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal under Moses. And it's also going to be similar in chapter 24, because we're going to see that Joshua calls them together at a place called Shechem, which is not very far from those two mountains, the mountains of blessing and cursing. The blessing, of course, for adhering to the counsel that God was going to give them as to how they would succeed in managing this land and this new opportunity. The curse, of course, for rejecting the counsel, trying to do it on their own and finding out the hard way of how complicated it can be to manage. And so with that, if they adhere to the counsel of both Moses and Joshua, they're going to do very well. But different from the curse that we've seen before, there is a nuance that we've seen hinted at, I think, but it jumped off the page to me, for lack of a better term this time. He's going to say, of course, if you turn on God, he is going to turn on you. But beyond that, he is going to turn you over to the people that you choose to cling to if you choose not to cling to the counsel that God has given. And so it reminded me of ways in life where the old adage goes, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. We're seeing an example of how God not only answers prayers for the good that we offer up, but over time, if we continue to ask for things that are not so healthy for us, there are times when God will give us over to those things. And this is one of those indications in Israel, where he is going to say over time, if you want to partner up with the people of the land, I'm going to let you see what they're really like. And ultimately, that is wise counsel for us as well. Not even limited to partnerships with people, but partnerships with the kinds of things that will simply allow us to have a temporary peace around people who don't necessarily prioritize truth or integrity, a word that's coming up over and over again as we discuss the law. He is giving them counsel for a lasting peace, but things that seem obvious in terms of what we would value in a relationship can get really complicated when we feel the pressure to fit in different environments. But to the degree we get the short-term piece of having the freedom to cut corners on truth, integrity, etc., what this is telling us is that over time, God will give us over to the company of people who also indulge the right to cut corners on truth and integrity. And once we see that side of the relationship, all the upside of a temporary peace can pale in comparison to the pain of being around people you simply cannot trust. And so my prayer for you is my prayer for me, that much like Joshua is counseling the people of Israel, that they weigh the consequences of a temporary peace, that we ask God to give us the wisdom and the courage to maintain the kinds of standards that make for a lasting peace, so that he will not give us over to, on the front end, being able to indulge the freedom to be untrustworthy, but also to be locked into relationships with people who aren't quite so trustworthy. Which is why we often say, God's best to you as you go forward in him. This time, asking him to give us the wisdom to fully appreciate the consequences of the things we think we might want.